it.
No worries.
What do you think about this idea?
I'm recording now. All right.
Yeah.
So, where do you want to start? So is everyone finished the book now? I think everyone here is finished, right?
Yeah, we have.
I'll give you the honors, Mr. Hassan, since you're the first one who finished the book. What do you want to, how you want to wrap this up as far as this book is concerned?
I would say there were lots of things I was kind of thinking that a writer has tried to connect things together, but like, because I read about the writer, and whatever he did, he was even writing with another name before. I think it was his second book. And he tried to connect things, and I was thinking he didn't read about telepathy and about whatever you call it. He was trying to put up together this what you call that, telekinesis.
Mm-hmm.
Telekinesis,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking he went far away with, of course, it's good to go into that area or something. It's a good good idea. And I was thinking he was like kind of many a times he misfit the character, like Elliot Stryker. How he left the loopholes, even in the first place when he was going to that airport, and then he booked the car. And the last time he bought the maps, and they left. They took only one map, and then they left all those maps.
Yeah,
in the room.
I thought that was pretty weird.
And
Yeah.
kind of lots of loopholes. So he was trying to leave the trail in a very kind of odd way, which would not fit into the character's role. This is my opinion and my understanding. And I mean, it was a good try from him, from my point of view. But still, like, he should, like, I don't know. It's because maybe 40 years old book. Anyway, this is, but he brought us close to the character of that Tina, and how she developed her, how she went through all this and all that kind of things. And
but interesting,
kind of knitted the character.
Speaking of character development, I didn't get the. It seems like I don't know much about Danny. I kind of wish we knew more about Danny. You know, we know certain things about him, but we don't really know Danny.
Yeah, if you even when I was reading, if I remember, I was trying to see that where is Danny until like page 182 and 188, the whole book finishes. I mean, you can imagine that he kept the suspense until the last chapters, and he didn't, as your point, that he didn't reveal much about the Danny's personality, and whatever we could come up or could know about is by whatever was remaining in that room.
Let me pose this. I'll pose this to Syra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Would the book have been better if it was told from Danny's point of view?
Yeah, probably, because whatever's happening, all the clues given, and you know, the drawing to like pulling them towards where he is all to do with Danny. But the only thing that we read about Danny is that he's got these dark, hollow black eyes, and he's very, very frail, and that's all we know about him, that he's this weak boy at the end. And yeah, I definitely think that if there was more said about Danny, more we knew that about Danny, I think it would have been a bit more realistic if maybe there was a little bit more about him from his childhood, that he had developed this extra special sixth sense that his mom had seen
Yep.
way behind, rather than there is somewhere she does say something about him, but it's just very, very trivial, very sort of brief, and then all of a sudden it becomes the main part of the book, where his abilities, you know, are it is him drawing them to where he is what is the main part of the book at the end, especially. I feel anyway.
Yeah,
and I don't think enough was said about him until the end.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Because for me, we're reading about Tina. We know more about Stryker. I think we know more about Stryker than we know about anybody. We know more about I keep on forgetting the jerk's name with the family.
Alexander.
We know more about Alexander than we know about Tina.
Yeah.
Alexander character is well developed. Stryker character is more, to the point where you can predict Stryker's action. That's how well his character is.
Yeah.
But the main character, who is really Danny, because he's the main character, and we know nothing about him. We really, he goes from, kind of being this person we're looking for, like he's almost like the kid in the well.
Yeah.
It's like he's the kid in the well. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to know anything about the kid in the well other than getting the kid out of the well. However, the kid in the well can do some amazing things, and we need to figure out and know why is he able to take down helicopters and stop bullets. We need to know this, and I think that's a major flaw in the book.
I think the question I would like to respond. Can I?
Yeah.
Your question, like when I thought about like if the book would have been written or could have been written through Danny's eyes, like I think what I can understand the whole holistic view is in one sentence. Like if we see that what the writer is trying to say, that human testing on like if some tests are done and human are treated as like guinea pigs, so that's the kind of thing he's trying to get the people away from that. That's why he used the mother's role as a mother's feeling rather than developing the character and other stuff, and he's trying to develop and show that the obstacles and the challenges were very, very high. That's why even at times I think when he developed all the story and the plot, and he could not find Tina powerful enough to tackle all those challenges. So that's why he got into this character, the new character, the elite striker. And then she would like took him as a ride, like used his powers to come over all these challenges, Alexander, some other guys and everything around, and that kind of organization and everything. But overall, when I see it, it's around like something, some biological warfare or something. He's trying to say that's what he's trying to let us know, even at the like how the mother would think about how the mother is feeling, this is what I understand.
Rose, same question.
I was saying maybe according to your question, I think it won't be really good if it was Danny's point of view, came from Danny's point of view, because it's a biography, right? We're speaking about Danny, and they have to show there's reality and there's fiction inside. And the character, someone who's saying the story, is the mother. So there's a place where she's talking about Danny, and she says what Danny likes when he was young, the type of books, and the kind of person he was. And Danny didn't know what he was doing actually. He didn't know this. So there's no way Dan would say anything after waking up from.
But Tina's not controlling Danny, right? I think Danny knows exactly what he's doing. He's making jukebox talk. He made the room come to life. He brought down a helicopter. He knows exactly what he was doing. And this was my talk on last week, when I mentioned the singularity. Danny has in essence transcended his biological form. Yes, his physical form was frail. However, Danny's on a whole nother level. Danny is a much, much interesting character. For me personally, I didn't find Tina that interesting. She's pretty typical woman, divorced woman, who's looking for love and trying to make it in life and pay the bills and be successful. That's everyone's story. Danny is amazing. Elliot Stryker is the typical, good guy who, I don't know how good he is because he has a dirty past, but we can talk about that later. But he's the human superhero of the deal. We've read about him a million times. We saw him in a million movies. But Danny is a very unique character. I mean, you're entitled to. I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way. I'm just saying that I don't know. I don't know if Tina is a very good storyteller. Hannah, what you think?
Hi guys.
Oh, Hannah, you're here. All right. Good.
At last. No, I came late. Yeah, this is the time I actually proposed in the beginning, and you guys agreed. Is that okay? Yeah. I do agree with Greg because Danny's character is actually, the book is about the darkness of eyes, which is Danny's eyes. So the title is on him. But then somehow the writer was failed to project his character in the depth, like you guys said, that the character of Alexander or the striker. So yeah, I do agree with that it could have been better if we would have focused more on Danny.
Rose, did you finish your thought? Because I think I cut you off. Did you finish your thought?
But Danny, as a result of the medicine, that's why he became who he became. So if you can't know until the end of it, there's no way Danny can say anything.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Interesting. Hold on. So you're saying it's because of the medicine that Danny has this power?
Yeah, because of injections.
No.
How many people believe that?
Yeah, I do.
I don't.
I don't believe it's because of the
medicine.
That.
Because
wow. I did not.
I have a solid reason.
Okay.
Solid reason because
okay.
I'll give you two reasons.
Let's be fair to Rose. Where in what chapter suggests this?
31. Did you read the book? There's a place they say after the injection, the first injection, he managed to survive, and then the second injection, and then he started having these weird happenings. Can't remember the chapter.
Okay, but okay, go ahead, Hassan. Go ahead.
I wanted to say one more thing. I will answer your two. I have two, what you call it, supporting ideas for that. That it was like after something. Danny was not born with that. First of all, I wanted to point out that first I was thinking like that organization was like kind of inhuman thing they did, but when I came to know that the other guy who escaped out and then he came in contact with that team, those scouts, boy scouts. So once everybody was infected, so they knew the fate. of everybody. So that's the way they kind of brought them in. And he was the one lucky one who survived out of the whole team. And then when they found out why he is the only one survived, so that's what they were surprised. But because up till that point, nobody else survived out of that kind of infection. And then then they started injecting him more and more and more. And
Yeah,
that's how
but let's slow down. Danny was the only one survived because Danny had a gift prior to going on that. Was it a mountain? Was it a mountain?
Yes, the mountain somewhere down.
So he had a gift. That's why Danny wasn't saved. He was just the only one who survived.
It's not a gift. I think he had.
It was the body immune system that survived.
Yes,
let him survive.
Yes.
But the brain outgrowth of the brain came in the last, and that's what one of the doctor, he said that I have started feeling this cold thing since this. He tried to relate that outgrowth of the brain with the cooling of the window. And second evidence I would give is that Tina didn't have any kind of dream until 1 year, until that's a brain outgrowth. So if he had another power, of course, that one was the against the whatever the virus or bacteria or whatever the germ was. So Wuhan 400 or whatever it was. So he had the immunity. In
his
the body. But
was strong,
we are talking about the brain power as another thing. That's a brain outgrowth, the part of the brain that kind of started growing. That's another thing. And since that thing happened, his ESPs or extrasensory perceptions or the telekinesis, telepathy or whatever he's attributing to that outgrowth, that came in. And then he started coming into his mother's dream. And then he started coming and making the house cold and things move around like a what you call it, a ghost kind of situation. So if, as Rose said, that if Danny would not have been out of that medicine, whatever happened he would have been a normal person.
Why didn't Danny die?
That's the immune system. That's another nothing to do with the brain part.
So you don't think that his brain power had anything the way I read into it? This is the way I read.
He was a normal person.
So the way I read it, well, how does everyone else? So come on, let's slow down a second.
Sure.
There's two expert survivalists, right? There are other kids on that. I forgot the number of kids on that bus. Same.
18.
Okay. How does everyone else, including the two experts, I think the book says one of the guys was like one of the best in the world, like survivalists in the world.
All right.
Okay.
This is the immune system, right? Yeah.
Okay, so what controls your immune system?
It means even now, there's some people who catch corona and they can't be affected because the immune system.
But that's millions, Rose. That's millions of people.
It's the same thing. Daniel was lucky that day.
Did you guys see Unbreakable? With
no.
Unbreakable?
With Bruce Willis? And then they had.
Can I add something?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Guys, are you missing the part when she actually said that he had some of the powers before he was disappeared?
Exactly.
He won the card game. He knew about the dog and all, like, few small incidences she told to Stryker. Have you guys missed that part?
This is why it would have been a better book if Danny told the story.
Yeah.
Because
there was something which gave us a hint that he had those powers, but as a child he did not use how to use those power. He didn't know, but later, because he was in a condition where he couldn't do anything except to concentrate on those powers, so he started using that.
Can I give my perspective? My perspective is that basically all the accident did was allow him to transform his biological self. his biological body. That's why at the end, you notice the writer, he's still frail, right? He's still frail. But his brain power, he's transcended his biology. He's had that ability, all right? It was untapped as a human, but as a non-human entity, he's powerful. Again, as Henna just mentioned, there was moments in time where he was able to do certain things, but he didn't understand it. Also, his weird affection for the macabre and things that were dark and things that were mysterious. That's also another indicator that the author gives us in the book. I personally did not relate the treatment to Danny's superpowers. All I felt was that all the treatment did, okay, if you want to put it in that perspective, all that treatment did was put Danny in a holding pattern, right? And made him, was almost a training ground so he can get in contact with his mother. It was almost as if Danny was in purgatory. And so that was Tina's role. Tina's role was to get him out of purgatory, right? Because his physical body was being manipulated, right? So, but his spiritual self, his beyond biology self, singularity, was in total control. He just needed his mama's help. He needed his mother's help to get out of purgatory.
How we would answer this question then?
Okay.
That why he didn't? Sorry, Rose.
I was asking.
How can we answer this question that why he didn't contact 1 year before?
Yeah, I'll add again, Ray. What if they didn't add more injections and injections and injections? What would have happened to Danny?
It would have been a different story. He might have visited Tina in a different way, in a friendlier way. He might have
After a year?
I didn't get Rose's point, last point.
That's why it would have been better if Danny was the narrator. If the story was told from Danny's point of view.
I want to understand what she said. Rose, she said, I didn't understand the last part. Again and again injection, what?
If they did the first injection, the experiment, and then he survived, and then the next, they kept on injecting him with different things. That's why maybe
in the last 1 year, in the last month only.
Yeah, yes, so Rose, that's why he got this
injection was only to keep his physical. This is only Ray Roberts' point of view. His injection was only to keep his physical body alive, right? That has nothing to do with his singularity self, his spiritual, call it whatever you want, his spiritual self, his beyond.
No, they were trying to fight.
Nothing.
Injections were of the disease. Like they were injecting him with the virus. 400 virus.
They wanted to find why he survived.
In the first time, they did not inject him. First time he was like whatever contract to the
contracted.
But no, the symbolism here is the idea that his body was captured. He wasn't allowed this to perish like the other kids, because why? He was a superhuman being. He had a gift. He's a superhuman human.
Yeah, I mean, like you have seen that people get AIDS, so
and survive.
Sometimes the mother has the AIDS, and the child inside her would not get the AIDS.
That's scientific biology, right?
So what is this one?
Right. So in that case, if the mother has HIV, the baby will not have HIV only until the birth. So that's why they do a C-section, right? So that doesn't have to go through the birth canal, because while the baby is in the womb, the baby is protected from HIV. When the baby is given, when it's a vaginal birth, then there's a high possibility the baby will get HIV. So they do a
But
C-section.
HIV is in all over the body. It's in the bloodstream as well.
No. The baby is protected from HIV until the day of labor.
No, that's another.
No,
That's another issue.
I know this for a fact.
No. I think they give some injections or some type of.
No. First, they do a couple of things. Number one, they give the baby anti-HIV. I know this for a fact. They give the baby anti-HIV medicine, whether it's ATZ.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But that's not the only thing, though. If the baby is delivered, I'm telling you, this is not debatable. I'm telling you, this is medical fact.
Yeah.
If the baby is delivered through the vaginal canal, there's a high possibility the baby will.
Yes, you're right. Now you're right.
Because they do a C-section to avoid.
Yeah, because they would not like
any mother who has
mother's blood
HIV
to come
will have a
in
C-section.
contact with the baby. Yeah.
So, but I don't want to talk about that. But that's a human thing that can be that we know science takes care of. This is beyond science, right? This is why they wanted to
I don't think so.
This is why they wanted to hold him, because he was beyond science.
You're missing the point, right?
What point?
So what Rose
Yes, go ahead.
So what Rose and Hassan are saying are basically what I am understanding from what they're saying is the continued repeated injections that they were giving him of Wuhan 400 developed his psychic skills better. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Maybe.
Yeah.
But that's, I thought that was a sixth sense. What you're saying, something artificial developed his power or inherent ability that he should have in him anyway. Is that what you're saying? So
Danny
something
was
artificial.
11, he
That's
was
Ray's
11
point of view.
years old before he got an accident. 11 years old. During the 11 years, there was nothing. Only he had this desire reading magic books. All boys.
Yeah, that's a normal kid. That's a normal kid. Many kids would be.
You ever watch Superboy? Superboy didn't develop his powers until late either. It's a typical superhero. They don't develop their powers until there's always some type of event. If you watch any like Superboy, was it Superboy? All those Spider-Man, they all develop their powers, right? Even though they already have them inside them. Spider-Man a little bit different. But see, like Superman, he doesn't really utilize his powers until late in life. To his well into his life. He wasn't flying as a kid. Right? So the idea is that the event on that mountain and all the things that happened to him afterward, I would agree, speed up. It was the training that he needed to force himself to utilize this biological sixth sense, or whatever you want to call it. However, call that drug a placebo. It was just a placebo. Because if that was the case, were there not other people they were testing that drug on? So why other people didn't have that power? Why didn't other people summon to that place? Other mothers, other fathers. It was only Danny. Because Danny
after he came to Mom, after he came and in dreams, actually, through his dreams, Mom found out that he's still alive. But I think it's after the injections. To me, that's what I think. There's nothing because what do you think? If
so you are thinking. All right, go ahead, Rose.
If that accident did happen, Ray, what do you think would have happened to Danny?
Later on in life, he would have developed that ability.
So you're thinking he was a Harry Potter?
Yes. No, not Harry Potter, but Harry Potter is magic. This is something more than magic. This is
that magic is because of his parents, and that's inbuilt into Harry Potter.
To be honest with you, I don't follow the Harry Potter book, so.
All right.
that's why he was
not normal
protected
child
by
from the
Dumbledore and
beginning.
everyone, because
Yes.
he was a special child. Yeah.
Yeah, from the birth.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Danny, no.
Well, I mean, you asked the question. My answer is
Normal person.
my
Just
answer
only
is that
thing
he would have.
what I can understand is as a human character. Mm-hmm.
No. My answer is that he would have. To Rose, he would have developed that ability later on in life. Hello.
Through something else.
Mm-hmm. But how do you support your point of view?
I think he believes in magic. Maybe, probably, I don't believe it.
No, let him see what. I gave you two supporting ideas, but I still have to see Hina's point of view. I'm thinking he was reading into the books, but I mean, like he was into reading comic book kind of
Yes, he
black
loved it.
or darker kind of thing. But I don't think so. He was kind of having some kind of special
No,
power.
he
But,
had
yeah,
some type of psychic abilities. He had.
I'm
And
trying to
that's what
remember.
Guys,
Maybe
some of the
I
people,
overlooked it. I overread it.
some of the guys are not in the book in the WhatsApp group, so that's why they're not on the call. They're asking me why aren't we on the 8 o'clock call? So they never got the messages because they weren't a part of the WhatsApp group.
So they sent you per private message or in the group?
They just called me Roger. So that means because
I was wondering where are they? Like Sadia and Raja, they all are missing today.
Yeah, I don't. They might
Because
not
of
be part of the book club.
Ramadan.
No,
We attributed it to
Raja,
Ramadan.
she wasn't a part of the member of the group. So I guess she'll be signing on soon. But in any event, we have like 11 minutes before 8:30.
I was suggesting regarding the one thing that people would have, those people who would have or who had experienced some kind of telepathic event or something like Raja was telling last time, that her grandmother and her uncle or they all saw that thing. That's perfectly understandable in my mind, that if you have some kind of ability, if you remember, I told a child would try to touch, and it would take a lot of practice to master that into, like as I gave the example today, that you know how to write, but you know how to write with your right hand or whatever is your, even some of you are left-handed, but if I ask you to write with your opposite hand, so although you know how to write, but you cannot write. So in my mind, the kind of those kind of parts of our brain, which is like a third eye, that I would call, it's a sensory organ, rather than we have 5 senses normally people would call. I would say maybe more than 6 senses. We have physical senses, like not as the part of the ESP, not extrasensory, but sensory perceptions. Like we have thermoreceptors. Snake has a different kind of thermoreceptors. Like he can see it as an eye, like he can see it as a trail. Similarly, the sharks, they have a third eye.
Raja.
And did you ever read about
hold on a second?
Shark's third eye?
I want to get Raja kind of in tune because this is really good conversation. Raja, are you there?
Yes.
So here's where we are in the conversation, Raja. We kind of split here. You tell me there's two main questions that have been placed on the table. The first question is whether the book would have been better if it was told from Danny's perspective. That's number one. And number two, in your opinion, does the drug make Danny supernatural, or was Danny already supernatural prior to taking the drug?
Okay.
So we'll wait for your response.
Hi. Nobody was.
It's like you're coming late and they have
this is
giving you the
raised
full
ways
exam
of
paper.
this is the raised way of frying someone.
No,
Okay.
welcoming.
No, I don't mean. I'm not frying you. I don't mean to fry you. I just want to include her in the conversation, so she knows it was
Yeah,
that.
Okay,
yeah, I
fine.
understand. I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
joking.
the welcome. A warm welcome.
Very warm
Okay.
welcome. Very
Well,
very
can I-
hot welcome.
whilst
I
Raja's
regretted joining
getting
the meeting.
whilst Raja's getting warmed up, I just want to say something that, you know, I don't completely agree with Rose and Essen about the fact that it was the continuous injecting. But what I do believe is maybe the pain that was caused because of the injections was the reason why he developed more strongly this
So you are saying
ability
the
that
same
he
thing.
had.
So the
Either it's
cause,
pain or
No, but
is
it's
this,
not
you are
the,
saying
but
the
it's
same thing.
not the, it's
Either it's a
not the
pain or it's a
injection.
reaction
It's
to
not.
that.
No,
No,
it's not the
That's the
repeated
effect.
injections. It's because of the pain that is the emotions, the
She
feelings
agrees
that
with
he's
me.
having.
the
She agrees
effect
with
of
me.
injection.
Yeah, but it's
But you are
not. It's
saying,
not the
but
injections. It's not. It's not
it's the raise.
the
If you
reason
The
of.
look at
result,
Ray's
the
question,
It's the
result,
emotion.
Okay.
It's the results. It's the
yes, the
no. It's the
result.
feelings that he's
No,
having.
no.
I
Let me
understand.
put it
Okay,
this way,
feelings
in an
comes from
easier
what?
way.
Okay,
Is it okay? Shall I go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
go ahead.
Guys, have you heard that when God takes one sense from you, he makes your other sense stronger? We say it all the time about blind people and people who cannot hear or something. That was the similar situation. When he wasn't able to concentrate on his physical body, his all energy was focused on his mental or the psychic abilities he had. That was the time he started
So it
focusing
means
on
it's
them.
the result
He
of
had
Okay,
them.
that's
He
understandable
had
point.
them.
That's understandable point. But
But
according to Ray's
what I
question,
what I
he said if they would not have injected him with this pain or Wuhan 400, whatever, so would he
no.
be the same Denny or would he be different then?
Yeah, he would, but it would have been developed far more later in life
Thank you.
than at this
When?
point. Yeah.
Why?
Oh, come on.
When?
Now
Well,
we
he
Yeah,
get
because
developed it
when
because he had
no.
pain. It was the emotion. It was the feelings that made it stronger. It was the emotions, the feelings of pain and distress, and obviously it says at the end that he becomes so weak and frail.
So Hassan, let me
Yes.
give you a great example to kind of prove my point.
All right.
When a grandmother who's frail, now we've
Right.
heard this story over many times, is able to
Right.
lift up a car because her granddaughter or her grandbaby
Yeah.
under the trap car. She gets
Yeah.
that power to lift the car up. Where
Yeah.
does that come from?
It comes from the brain.
Exactly. So the brain is able to do what? The brain is able to produce enough adrenaline, right? But
Yes.
isn't it a little bit more than adrenaline? She's
Well,
able
this is
now
what we call it.
under any other circumstances, she would not be able to lift that car.
No.
So I agree with you guys. The situation,
This is the
that the
self
organization put,
hypnosis.
the situation that the organization put him in, help give him an ability, as Henna said, you lose one ability and other abilities become stronger.
Do you
Lose all your
do you
abilities,
think we are?
something else becomes
But do
stronger.
you think we are doing justice with the organization in terms of, like, the organization put him into this kind of situation rather than the other 40 guys, or I don't know how many were there, the scouts, and everybody died because of that accident, and he was the only one survived. Yes, I'm talking about the starting point of it. Of course, later on it was the organization who put him into this kind of situation, and that guy who was interested in carrying on the experiment. But I'm talking about the first point where I mean, like, this accident happened and he survived. So I
Do
think,
you want a spiritual answer, or do you want to? What do you want? You could say that. I mean, you could say that God places in us in situations so that
In this,
so
yeah,
Tina
in this era.
and Stryker can meet. He play. I mean, you could. you could say that God did it. You could say that there are many perspectives, there's many ways to answer that question. The reality is it happened. And it didn't happen because of those drugs. Those drugs, I look at those drugs as a placebo. It doesn't matter if it was water in those drugs. It was the fact that his body, that he was being held against his will. Do we all agree he was being held against his will?
Yeah,
Yeah, of
sure.
course.
Yeah, definitely.
Do we agree that the reason why he was being held is because it was for nefarious reasons, for bad reasons?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was evil.
So,
Maybe
Yeah,
let me say, wait,
he
just
was, they
1
were
minute.
astonished. They were surprised that how this
Exactly.
only human being who
Yeah.
survived out of that kind of very bad kind of
Virus.
exposure or that
Yeah.
experience. So he's a superhuman, or his body has a kind of defense system. They were just thinking about the defense system. The
Also,
body's
I think they thought maybe they can use Danny to get a vaccine.
that
That's
could
what
have been
they
that dimension, but they didn't go in that dimension.
Yeah, but look, guys, if they would been proper researchers, they could have taken his blood and they could have done experiment on his blood sample to see with reactions
What
with his plasma
That's
yeah.
what
and
they
all
should
that.
have
But
done.
they were evil. They were evil.
They
They were
were
injecting
evil.
in his body. They were
Yes,
treating
Yes,
him
the
like a
later
guinea
part
pig.
of that guy
what they will
who
have
was having
done.
the
Yeah.
power. If you remember, Ray posted something last time regarding the some psychiatric experiment in some university,
Stanford.
and
Yeah.
Stanford University experiment, that thing. And when the people are given kind of that kind of power, like Alexander was given even at that time. I mean, in that book. So when we are given certain powers at certain, last time we discussed this one, that lots of people there, we actually do not belong to that position, or we don't deserve that position. But somehow when that position is with us, then we do all sorts of evil things, many of us.
Yeah.
all right, Raja, you had time. You had about 10 minutes now. Let's get it.
Okay, I believe that Danny. Generally, I don't believe in supernatural natural powers. This is number one. Number two, people can have those potential abilities that they don't know that they have, but when it's time and they need it, they just do it. It happens. So I can agree with you, Ray, that sometimes you have the potential ability to do something, but you don't know that even you have it. But when it happens and you need it, you just do it. For example, if we talk about some teacher, sometimes students don't believe that they are good writers, but when you give her a task, you believe she doesn't believe in herself, but suddenly she writes something very extraordinary. And after that, she believes that she can be a good writer in the future. Though you give the task for many students, for 20, 30, 40, 50 students, but still it's only one or two who will know that they have the ability to write, and they didn't believe in themselves. They didn't know that you can make such good sentences, the coherence, and so on. So this is a very little example of what abilities we might have, and we don't know sometimes that we have them.
Well, I just want to remind everyone it's 8:30, so anyone who has to leave to do something, feel free to leave. But we can continue to go on.
And talking about the power that is the power that some people might have and misuse, they made an experiment and they gave those kids, I don't remember how many were they, but let's assume they are 20. So the 20 kids were disciplined, respective, and so on. Because they know that people are monitoring them and they are under the observation of others, adults, and so on. Then they selected 10 of these 20 students or kids, and they allow them to be responsible, and they told them that they are not observed, and the laws and the rules are going to be the ones that they are going to agree on, those 10 kids only. And they started to observe them secretly, and they noticed that those 10 who were disciplined before, started to use their powers to abuse the other kids.
That's almost
so
like
whenever we have
like
ultimate power, we start to misuse it. Definitely, there must be an observation in you.
You're talking to which kind of a situation? Which incident or which book or something? What is it?
I read this experiment a long time ago. I can't remember where even I read
All
it,
right.
but I remember that
same thing what you are
heard,
talking about, which was that university experiment, Stanford University psychiatric experiment. So if you read that, or if you
no, she wasn't. Unfortunately, I thought she was in the group, so she didn't get a chance to see the video.
All right,
I'll reshare it with you, Roger. So the first question: do you think it would have been a better book if it was told from Danny's perspective, Roger?
I think it would be a better book if they just didn't solve the issue at the end by Danny's power only. So if he has all that power, why would he ask for help? Why couldn't he just wait for everyone to sleep, and in the middle of the night he woke up and he started running away? I didn't like
because
no, but he was physically weak. He was physically weak.
You guys are missing my point about transcending your biological form. And I can tell you, this is what's going to happen. Watch the movie The Surrogate with Bruce Willis. I'll put it in the group. This is going to be reality. Maybe not in our lifetime, but I think maybe even in our lifetime. This whole sheltering in place and social distancing, what is going to take place of our physical form in the environment? Will it be an AI being? The singularity. Take the time, if you with your husband or whoever, or by yourself, and watch the Surrogate with what's his name? Bruce Willis. I'll put it in the
Bruce Willis. Yeah.
I'll put it in the group.
But if it was written from Danny's perspective, I think it would be more sentimental. He would tell us more about how much he suffered during those 12 months.
Everyone agreed on that point. Yeah.
But how you would prove if I am?
But there will be no suspense, because when it is.
Yes, suspense would be that was my first concern. The suspense would be gone from the first point.
Exactly,
number one.
Because
number two,
now we know everything and he knows everything.
Yeah, we know in the end of the book what happened from Danny's perspective. The Danny's screen comes up, or that doctor's screens, or doctor's views, or those kind of things. They come up in the last part of the book. Secondly, how you would express the mother's love which is kind of like universal. It's animalistic, or it's how you would express that kind of thing, and then how you would discriminate human testing.
But maybe the writer should have switched from mother perspective and then to Danny's, because that's basically what the aim of the whole book was, rescuing Danny by the mother. So maybe if the writer had
maybe you could write a book, as you're saying, after Danny's resurrection or wherever he came from. Then there's a book. Now Danny tells us what happened there.
You mean the second part of the book?
Yes, it should be the second part.
Second, we can say, what do you call it? Harry Potter series 2.
or if you think that Danny's too young to explain or describe, well, maybe one of the doctors, that Dr. Dolby, he could, we could have his side of what he sees Danny's going through, the pain and the distress.
Okay. Ray, one more thing I would like to say. Of course, we should talk about even the writer, as I requested in the beginning, about the writer, that how his writings and how he was doing in the beginning and how many books he wrote and all that. For one more thing I want to say, Ray, we should know what we are going to read for the next week.
That's why I want us to kind of, I was going to let you finish the thought and then kind of transition to that. So
if you like move on to the last part, the kind of what is the afterward, that kind of page.
Yep.
The last
So,
part.
since you've been leading that charge, once you started off.
Yeah, I mean, what I saw in that one, how he was reflecting upon that, it actually was talking about that how he wrote it in the first place in 1981, and then after the Gulf War, and then he wrote the second version or the second kind of thing, and he improved it, and he did lots of other things, and he even, like, I think his name was different first, Lee Nichols, something like
Lee
that.
Nichols, yeah, Lee
Yeah, it
Nichols
Yeah.
it was.
He was writing those books. How many? I don't know, 4
He
or
had
5. He wrote.
he had many pen names. So Lee Nichols was one of them, but
And then
he had
he
other pen
killed.
names as
I
well.
think if I correctly remember, that he somehow killed that Lee Nichols in that writing, that how somehow he died or somebody killed him, something like that. He was assassinated.
He gave a story that he died in something. Yeah,
in
exactly.
like Harry Potter 3 series, kind of. I mean, like his series, his in his words, whatever his book number 3 or something 4. Then that.
I don't know, but what I was reading about his biography as well, that
Mhm.
he used many pen names, and
Yes, he
for
used.
and that was because of different genres. When he was using one genre, he was using one pen name, and when he was switching to another one, he was using another name, and which is very justified because people have this perception when he's buying a writer's book, oh, he writes usually about this, so they
Yeah,
will judge
yeah,
the book with that perception. But
yeah.
if it's a new writer, it's a total new experiment,
Concept,
and
yeah.
exactly, so they explore it in a different way. That was his idea, to use different pen names.
Mm.
Any other points you want to cover, Ed, concerning the writer?
Yeah, I mean, like then
Yeah.
he came on to the real self, and then he opened up about himself, and then he even mentioned that he was kind of like kind of supporting the Iraq War, and then he even, I think one of the books he said that somebody, I don't remember now, but somebody came in the shape of like that Saddam Hussein that he mentioned there somewhere.
And yeah, definitely an interesting character, interesting author. Obviously, very successful. You know, he's up there with Grisham. Was it Grisham? John Grisham? Is that his name? And all those other guys.
I was surprised that nobody made a movie on this kind of this novel. But I think he was not able to express to them. He mentioned somewhere that some people, they tried to come up with this idea, and then he worked on for a few weeks, and then they couldn't come. They were not that professional.
This would be a television show. This is not a movie. This would be a television show. I could see this as a television show.
Could be.
So I want to.
Okay, I just want to add one more point. What we left last week was about Michael and why writer treated him so badly. I think Mr. Hassan also knows, because in the writer's personal life, he had a very difficult relationship with his father, and his mother was the savior of his life. So that's the part why Tina is the savior of Danny's life and Michael is not. That was the answer, because it belonged to his like personal experience. It was somehow related to his personal experience.
Isn't that interesting though? Because for me, I mean, I love my mother to death. I was a mommy's boy, but for me, my admiration was my dad. You know, so I always feel a little way when dads get the short change, because my dad was, my mom was the one that worked, and I mean, she was still an amazing, nurturing mother, but I was with my dad all the time. When I came home from school, my dad did the cooking, he did the cleaning, my dad was my mom. My mom was my mom. Mom was still mom, but dad was mom too. You know what I mean? Because he did all the nurturing stuff. If I fell off my bike, or he was there and patched me up, he told me stories about his life. So it's interesting how when you write or when you do everything, your experience with your parents really dictate how you view the world. There's research in the 50s by Penn and Rose. I think the researchers were Penn and Rose. I'll try to pull it up and put it in the group, and it's called Parent Tapes. And basically, their position was your parent tapes always play. They play in your subconscious, and the decisions that you make in life really are based on the relationship you had with your parents. So
because that's where your personality grows in the first 7 years.
Yeah. So, and they're saying that these parent tapes are continuously playing in your subconscious, and the decisions you make are basically based on, again, the relationship with your parents, and that's why you end up being your parents ultimately.
Yeah, I call it the parents. Whatever they say, they are like the headlines of the newspaper. And the other ones, they are just like the small newses here and there.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I want to do this really quick. It'll take 30 seconds. We'll start with Mr. Hassan. Assign a number to this book from 1 to 5, 5 being outstanding, 1 being the book sucked. So what do you give this book, Mr. Hassan?
4.
4. Syra?
Yeah, I'd give it about 4.
Henna?
3.5.
3.5, yes.
Rose?
3.5.
3.5.
Raja?
3.5.
I give the book a 3, a solid 3. I give the book a solid 3. So with that being said, I think we're done with that book. It's 8:43 now. What book are we reading next? You guys think? I'm not gonna, since
I have a suggestion.
Yep.
I didn't read it, but it was recommended for me. It's for Paulo Coelho. It's called Winner Stands Alone.
Winter Stands Alone?
About
Winner Stands.
Winner.
Winner Stands, okay. What is it about?
It's about a man who is trying to get revenge from the woman he wanted to marry, and she left him.
Ooh!
Something like that.
This is Ray's book, huh?
I like that.
But the idea that Paulo Coelho goes deeply in human nature. You'll find yourself somewhere when he is describing someone's feelings and attitudes. So that's what I like about Paulo Coelho.
Okay. Syra also recommended one book, Lord Fowl's Bane, something like that.
Yeah, it's I haven't read it. I've heard from someone. It's about a leper, but it's it's by an author. It's like Stephen King, and it's Steve Donaldson. It's the author, and he goes back in his mind, and it's quite a sci-fi and one of those mind-boggling stories I've heard.
What you call that one? The
Inception.
No,
like Inception.
I forgot that. That one. I forgot the name. What happened? Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's basically, I don't really know much about it, but it was recommended by somebody who's a prolific reader, and he's into Dean Koontz and Stephen King and Steve Donaldson books, and he said this is a good one for, as a recommendation for a discussion.
No problem. We can we can choose which one comes first, and we can read both of them, but just make a decision which one the next one.
Yeah, we'll read both of them because both sounds interesting, but which one are we going to read now?
Well, should we, if you want
well, number one, what book can we get access?
Let's say which one is available. First of all, we need to
what is it?
I have a PDF version for Winners Standalone.
Oh, you have the PDF version?
I can just send, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So that's good. Yeah.
What about
that's
your book,
fine.
Sarah? What about your book?
Well, I haven't got access to it, but for a change.
What's the name of it? What's the name of it again?
Lord Fowl's Bane.
Yeah.
Lord.
Fowls. Bane.
Foul like a foul ball.
Foul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lord Foul Payne.
It's by Bane. B-A-N-E.
Okay.
Bane.
Stephen
Donaldson.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can grab this book.
Is it on Amazon?
Well, yeah, that's a good thing. Does everyone have an Amazon account? Because I think Amazon is free right now, right?
No.
Was it? No, it's not free.
No.
I put those
Not
books.
all of the books are free.
Not all, some.
I can give you my password, right?
I have Amazon account too.
What about Kindle? You guys have Kindle? Well, that is Amazon.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Kindle. You mean Kindle?
Yeah,
Yes.
Kindle is Amazon.
It's the
Yeah,
same.
Kindle
Yeah.
I have.
Me too.
Yeah, if you have Kindle, you have Amazon. They're the same. It's the same company.
Mm-hmm.
But how to pull out that book? Let me see.
So this book is on. What is that? Lord Fowl's Bane.
Yeah.
The Chronicles of Thomas Covenant.
Yeah, 1978, published by.
So it looks like is that it?
1978, published by.
The Chronicle of Thomas.
Yes, this is the one.
Is that it? But why doesn't it say? Oh,
Covenant of
okay, I see it.
Unbeliever, book 1.
So here's what I'm willing to do. Which one do you guys want to read? Because other one, let me see. I will download a sample.
Should we just go for winner takes all, because it seems a bit of a change from
all right.
Yeah, we will go for that first, and this one we will go later after Ramadan.
Yeah.
We'll see how I don't know how many pages are there. Raja can tell how many pages are there in
about
that
300 pages.
Oh,
about 300
right.
Oh
pages.
yeah, so it would be enough for whole Ramadan.
Yes, it would be enough for whole Ramadan. All right.
Winner takes all. Is that the elite charade of changing the world? Barry Eisler? Is that it? Because the winner takes all. Is it Barry Eisler? Is that the
winner stands alone? Winner stands.
Not the winner takes. Winner stands. Yeah.
Winner stands alone.
Yes, Paulo Coelho.
Okay, so that book is that's on same price basically. That's on Amazon.
But I have it free. I have a PDF version, free one.
Cool.
So she'll share in the group. It will be easy.
We can put it on our, the Google Drive, and from there we can put it to our iPads or something.
Which one are we going to read first?
Okay, let's go with this winner.
The winner.
As Cyrus says, maybe change of the.
So we all agree.
We all flavor.
Agree that is winner stands alone first, and then Lord's.
Lord.
Yeah.
Lord. Foul.
Lord Foul. Lord
and guidance.
Foul.
Tongue twister, oh God.
Okay.
It is, yeah.
How many chapters are we reading? Are we going to read this for next week, right? How many chapters should we?
Each chapter is about certain time because he's trying to kill her. This is what I understood, Yani. So
13?
I don't know how many chapters.
Let me download a sample.
We can
let's say 300 pages. Let's say this book was 180 pages. So let's say if she's saying 300 pages. So how about 60, 80, 60? What do you think? 60 would take into 5 weeks.
Yeah,
80 would take into like 4 weeks.
Yeah, all right. Shall we do 60 pages?
60 pages for the next week.
That's a lot, isn't it?
I don't know. I'll stay quiet because I'm the cheating one.
You are making.
Let's just say.
I think 80 would be fine.
Hold on a second.
80 would be too much. No, it would be too much.
60.
let me
5 weeks is okay for 60.
Okay, 60 is fine.
50
let's do
times
it by chapters. How many
6 is 300, or 60 times 5, 300.
Yeah,
80
that's
times.
what I was
50
thinking, like
I
50.
don't think the book is going to take that long to read, because in Kindle it's saying it's only going to take 20 minutes to read. Huh? Oh, that's
A whole book?
no, because I didn't download the whole book.
Maybe it's the review.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm stupid. Don't worry.
Okay, Raja she has access to the Google Drive, or
So
how
let's do this. Can we get through 3 chapters before next week? Or was that too much?
How many
It depends how many pages
Three
are there, but
chapters?
let's say 50 to 60 pages, somewhere around that.
So let's assume they are 60 pages, and then we'll finish the last chapter, whether they are 60, 61, 65, and then we'll stop there.
All right.
Oh, that's a good idea. That whatever the chapter would be, we will finish until that chapter.
Not less
that's
than
good.
60, and then we'll finish the last chapter
Yeah,
after 60.
yeah.
So
Okay.
we're reading up to 60 pages, but we finished whatever the chapter is. So if 60
Yes.
Let's say it could be 62, 63, 67, something.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right. So,
Right. Okay.
all right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
fine.
That's
All
perfect.
right, thank
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Another good meeting. Very good.
Yeah.
You guys are
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
be
Bye.
welcome. Oh, hold on a second. We're kind of being rude here. So
Yeah.
Abdulaziz,
Yeah, hello.
yeah, we haven't heard from you. I know you're probably feeling like an outsider here.
No, not really. I just wanted to get the rhythm of the meeting first, but I'll join you in the next meeting.
So
Much
yeah,
more informed about the book.
this is
But you can read this whole book.
Yeah, I surely will.
Did you read any part of it?
The eye in the eye of the storm.
Yeah, the Eyes of Darkness.
No, Eyes of
The eyes of
Darkness. Yeah.
the eyes of, I read partly. So unfortunately, I found out after you had already finished the book.
No worries, no pressure. I just wanted you. I didn't want you just to hang out there. I just want to say hello to you, and we look forward to next week. You jumping in the conversation. This is pretty much how we hold the meeting.
Okay.
I think this is meeting number 4. Is this 4?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first we did 2 until 2, 15, 30, and this is the 2,
Last one.
15, 30, fourth week. Yeah.
This is the 4th week.
Fourth.
Whoa, 4 weeks that fast. All right, so Abdulaziz, we look forward to getting your thoughts and hearing your
Yeah,
input,
I surely will join you next week.
and welcome other people to join. All right, another
Okay,
great
no
meeting,
problem.
ladies and gentlemen. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Same bat time, same bat channel. Wow, very good meeting. Thank you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thank you, everyone.
Hassan,
Yes. How are you?
that app was, I like the demo version of that app, man.
Yeah, just I was playing around.
So I got tied up, and then I got to meet with
Yeah.
Dr. Ibrahim in 5 minutes.
All
So
right.
you want to talk tomorrow? Are you what time?
Yeah, no problem.
What time do you wake up?
I basically sleep like these days. Like I have some exams coming up for that. I registered for that language and artificial intelligence, 2 courses. So I have exam coming up on the 2nd of May and 9th of May. So just basically, and also I was like thinking this was remaining. So I kind of like last night I was playing it and I sent it to you.
Cool.
So I'm basically mostly up in the late part of the night, and I would sleep
Okay, so
like
I'll call you tomorrow.
early morning till 12.
I'll call you.
Early morning.
I'll call you tomorrow night then, since you're up in the nighttime.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm basically sleeping like something like 8, 9 until like 12.
Okay, perfect.
Sometimes 1.
All right, sounds good.
I would try to bring it to the normal, but I'm up till now I have not been able.
No worries. This is the holiday season. All right, I'll call you tomorrow night then.
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
Thank you.
I just made this one without anything. Like without any kind of inputs. I was thinking just like.
I see the potential for sure.
Yeah, because this was the complex one because there are multiple relationships. When you go inside, then you can go inside, then you can go inside.
Cool.
You can divide it by topic wise, you can divide by writer wise, you can divide by other.
Really cool.
Yeah.
We'll talk about.
And you can
prepare. I gotta prepare.
And you can pull up many videos.
I gotta prepare.
If you remember, I pulled your 10 videos, and the other people's like each video 1 or 2, something like that.
I gotta prepare for the meeting for Dr. Ibrahim 3 minutes. So
sure, go ahead.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.